Hi everyone, this is Jan Wilczek from the WolfSound.com, and in this video we're going to discuss sampling and quantization. As we already know, sound may be interpreted as a function of time, also called a signal. Our machines are only capable of storing discrete numbers. That means that we're in trouble of somehow representing a continuous function using only discrete numbers. So how can we do it? Well, if our signal is a linear function, or rather an affine function, we can represent it as s of t is equal to at plus b. Then we only need to store the a and b coefficients. If, on the other hand, our function is a sine, then we only need to store its amplitude, its frequency f, and its initial phase shift phi, which in this case is 0. But usually we don't know what the signal we want to observe looks like. So we need to somehow come up with a way of representing any signal, an arbitrary signal, using only discrete numbers. And that's where sampling comes in. Sampling is the process of observing and storing values of the observed continuous function at discrete time intervals. In this example, we have our observed signal st, and now let's sample it, taking exactly 8 samples for every second. So we take a sample at time equal to 0, then after some part of the second, then again at 1/4 of a second, and then again here, and here when the function crosses 0, then again here, here, and here. So, as you may see, the function resembles a sine at the interval from 0 to 1, and we've taken exactly 8 discrete samples. And as you can see, we can easily trace the shape of the sine. Now, what happens if we take the samples further? Okay, so as we may see, although the function has changed its frequency, it's definitely oscillating quicker in the region after 1 second, we're still taking 8 samples per second, are able to represent it somehow correctly. It makes us wonder, how far can we take it? So how fast should we actually sample a signal in order to represent it properly? It turns out there is a theorem called the sampling theorem, which tells us exactly how fast should we do it. Now let's assume that this signal has some maximum frequency f maximum, and now we would like to know how slow can we sample it, so what's the lowest boundary. And the sampling theorem tells us that the so-called sampling frequency should be over 2 times as big as the maximum frequency. And this frequency right here, sampling rate over 2, is called the Nyquist frequency. In this example, sampling rate is equal to 8. Exactly 8 Hertz, 8 samples per second. And clearly, f maximum of this signal is lower than the Nyquist frequency because we are able to uniquely represent it. Now, what happens if the frequency of the signal we want to sample is higher than half of the sample frequency? In this case, sample frequency is equal to 2 because we take 2 samples per 1 second. And as we take in the samples, we may see that some of these shapes have been omitted. Now, if we join all the dots of the samples we've taken, we see that the corresponding signal is significantly different from what the actual signal was. And this phenomenon is called aliasing, and we're going to talk about it in another video. Now, let's consider how to actually store the discrete values of the signal we sample. Quantization means that we have only a finite set of values available for our signal. We have already seen an example of quantization in time, which means that we are taking discrete points at regular time intervals. We cannot choose arbitrary time. We only can choose time points which are available to us. Another aspect of quantization is quantization in amplitude. In these 2 examples right here, we have a constant interval quantization scheme and non-constant interval quantization scheme. In constant interval quantization schemes, our set of possible values is divided into equal intervals. So when amplitude changes by a fixed amount, the code that encodes this amplitude value changes as well. And we may perceive it as a set of finite integers that we can code our amplitude with. For example, from minus 127 to plus 128. In non-constant interval scheme, however, we quantize a little bit denser in some regions to receive more precision and less densely in other amplitude intervals, and therefore we receive less precision in those intervals. Now that we know what quantization and sampling is, let's look at some code and put it into practice. Okay, let's check out how sampling works in practice. I have opened here Jupyter Notebook, which is great for visualizing data. In the first cell, I import NumPy for numerical computations and Matplotlib for plotting. Here I define some plotting parameters, and here I defined a signal function which will be mimicking our real-world signal. Obviously, on computer, we're not able to easily generate a continuous time signal that we want to sample, but we may define functions such as this one that will return samples at discrete time intervals that we want it to, which closely resembles sampling. This function, given amplitude A, frequency f, and time points t, returns a sine with amplitude A, frequency f, at time points t. For our example, our sine will have amplitude of 1, frequency of 1 Hz, and we'll sample it with sampling rate 48 kHz to create an impression of a continuous function. In this cell, we generate the time points for the continuous, let's say, representation, and here we generate the sine at the given time points with our frequency 1 and amplitude 1. So let's see how it looks in practice. Here we have our sine, and the points are so dense that it really resembles a continuous function. Now the actual sampling begins. Since the frequency of this sine is 1 Hz, the sampling theorem says that we should have a sampling rate of at least 2 Hz or over 2 Hz to sample it properly. So we set our sample rate to 8 Hz. Now we generate the time points at which we are sampled. So from 0 seconds to 1, we are generating exactly 8 points at which we will sample. And now we ask the signal function to return the values of the signal at these discrete time points. So now let's look what the result is. Okay, so we had our continuous function, which was a sine, and we sampled it at exactly 8 points, which is here plotted as red dots. We can see that the samples closely resemble the shape of the original sine. So apparently there will be no problem with restoring the original shape of the sine. The whole code is available in the article, which is linked to down in the description. That's all for today. I highly encourage you to check out the related article, which is linked to down in the description below. It contains a lot more detail and some mathematical derivations of the whole concept of sampling and quantization. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe and hit the thumbs up and share it with your friends. That's all from me. Take care.